I just don't see how everybody's on. Like, I get how they want to recall him because of his handling of COVID and everything like that. But like, was it really worse than anybody else? Like, I
Or was
mean,
it just more public?
right, exactly. Like, I mean, they're just hounding Newsom for how he handled the coronavirus. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, other states just did just as bad.
They,
I
but
mean,
I
look,
I think what it is you have somebody like Newsom that you look up to. He's trying to get everybody out of this pandemic. But there's a lot of like there isn't a balance. It's if you're part of that 1%, he's taking care of them. But if you're not, then
right,
he's looking to help everybody get past this pandemic. He's looking for looking out for the health of the people of his state. Whereas he's you look at Hollywood. Hollywood is able to continue working full force over there in their studios. They're wearing masks. Some aren't. But then you have restaurants closing down and everything. It's like, okay, what is this? You think Hollywood is essential, but
right,
these little bodegas or restaurants and stuff aren't. People don't need to eat, but people need
right.
entertainment. What the fuck is essential? It just doesn't make any sense. And then he shuts down these restaurants and wineries and stuff, and then he himself goes to one, not wearing a fucking mask with all his buddies and pals, and that's okay. I think what it is people are tired of them being hypocrites, saying one thing but doing another.
Right.
What is it? Laws for thee, but not for me.
Yeah,
That's such bullshit. Nobody wants. I think that's why he's being recalled. And to be honest, I hope that he does get recalled. I'm not saying that I hope one party or the other wins. I would not want a leader like him presiding over me, my family, my friends, fellow neighbors. Like, who would want that as their leader?
It's a lack of accountability, right? I mean, the guy made a lot of decisions that clearly put a lot of families at risk and in harm's way, especially when it comes to making money and just being able to pay the bills and stuff. And like, there's some people on YouTube, some like gym guys that, their gyms were getting shut down. Like the lights were getting turned off. They would shut the water off to the gyms because they refused to close.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a little fucked up, man, to be turning off somebody's power and water because they want to keep their business open so they can feed their family, pay their employees.
And that's another reason why people can't stand what's going on with Hollywood too, is because they're allowed to continue to work. They're bitching and complaining about the pandemic, lockdowns and stuff, but they're allowed to continue to work and regular Americans can't.
See, but for me though, that's not Hollywood. That's the advertising industry as a whole. Because if a lot of these TV shows aren't shooting and there's no content coming on broadcast TV, then that means Chrysler, Dodge, the fucking Peanut Man planters or whatever, all these people that are paying millions of dollars for ad runs aren't going to be paying because there's no content to run it against.
No new content.
So in order to keep that industry afloat, I mean, there has to be, the advertising industry runs everything, right? Without the advertising industry, nothing exists. Google's not what it is. Facebook isn't what it is. None of the studios are what they are. So there has to be means for advertisements, and if there isn't, then everything collapses. So I don't know if it's Hollywood per se. I think that a lot of the advertising landscape and industry gets kind of put on the back burner or not thought about when they deserve a little bit of the disdain as well that you have towards Hollywood. Because I agree. I think Hollywood thinks they're above people. I also think Hollywood has the money to pay for masks, pay for testing and all that regularly. Like Tyler Perry here in Atlanta, he spent $18 million on one set.
And Tyler Perry is he's somebody that's been helping out communities with this. He's really looking out for people. Nobody talks about it, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, he's been doing a pretty, from what I've read, not much, but the little that I've read, he's done a good amount.
Yeah, I think so. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like Hollywood out there is easy to hate, but the same thing's happening here in Georgia. Like all the films are back up and running. We can't drive around the city without running into some set or some road being blocked off. or something like that, because it's still up and operating. So what makes it different in California that's happening? Besides the fact that the rest of the state is being told to shut down.
That's
That's the only thing.
That's the thing. Everything else, from what I've read, I mean, granted, we're on the other side of the country, so and it's not like we have any, we haven't talked to really anybody that's in California, so, and that's directly affected by these laws. So it's really just what we're reading about online. But from what I can tell, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's ugly out there. People are losing so much. So many people are losing their jobs. People are trying to build outside shelters so they can continue running their businesses, and then they get shut down from that.
So let's say that Newsom gets recalled, and someone new comes in, whether that's a Democrat or Republican, or a third party, who knows, right? What can they do differently at this point in the game? What can be done? It's really going to be just replacing the face of who's in charge. But I mean, things are opening back up. They're kind of reeling back all of the COVID restrictions.
It seems it's pretty apparent to me that if the Republicans win, they're going to start opening shit back up pretty quick.
Right.
I would think that whoever comes in is going to try and do that. They're going to try and reopen it, take advantage of the pandemic starting to wane a little bit, and be considered a hero. But I think that's what Newsom's going to try and hold out for. I think he's going to try to extend this whole recall process. That way he can let the pandemic kind of take care of itself. And then he starts reopening things, because he's trying to strike a balance too between like the teachers' unions, parents.
Right. Yeah.
Teachers don't want to go back to school. Parents are like, fuck this. I'm ready to send my kids back to class. And he's obviously trying to find that balance, and he's doing it in a very political way.
Yeah.
They're not vaccinating the teachers, and that's what the teachers want. They want to be vaccinated before they're thrown back in there.
Give it to them, man.
So do you
Let
think
them have the vaccine?
So the state hasn't decided to vaccinate the teachers? I mean, vaccinate the teachers?
What was it? I think that they decided to vaccinate the elderly first.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you only have but a certain amount of vaccinations or vaccines,
Right.
Who do you give it to?
Might as well give it to the old people that are going to die in 2 years anyways. They need it.
I mean,
So-
a good test for the vaccine, I guess, right?
Yeah, good test. It's like, yeah, we don't know what killed them.